Just a day ago, Twitter lost its safe harbor immunity in India. The government revoked the intermediary status accorded to microblogging site over its failure to appoint statutory officers as mandated by the government's new IT rules that became effective from the 26th of May. This means that Twitter and its top executives are now open to legal action for content on its platform, and that is considered unlawful in nature. And within 24 hours of that cover going away, Twitter has begun facing the heat. Yesterday, an FIR was filed in the Loni case, and today another complaint has been filed with the Delhi police. While several so-called guardians of free speech have raised an alarm over these developments, the law minister maintained a tough stance, claiming that the firm will have to follow the law of the land. Listen in to Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad.
It is for the police to investigate and come to a conclusion. Fair investigation. But one thing I would sure like to flag. If Twitter has a norm of declaring a particular tweet as manipulated or unmanipulated, why it was not applied in the case of Ghaziabad case? When, apart from the fake element, it was provocative, designed to provoke riots, create hostility in the country. Therefore, why should not Twitter also make these important standards when we allow a tweet to be tweeted?
All those who think that Twitter should not be held accountable, here's a reminder of how various countries have made Twitter abide by local laws. In July 2020, Japan forced Twitter to share emails of users who retweeted an incendiary tweet. In fact, earlier this year, Turkey slapped an advertising ban on Twitter unless it complied with local laws. Russia too has asked Twitter and Facebook to open databases, warning them of a penalty of almost $200,000. While nations across the world are ensuring that Twitter is following their laws, an ecosystem in India is willing to give it a free run. Which brings me to my legitimate question. Does Latvians lobby fear accountability? That's the question and the debate on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining the debate tonight along with Sanjay Jha is Sumant Sriraman, a political analyst, Sanju Verma, spokesperson of the BJP, and Ratan Sharda, author. And Ratan Sharda, it is to you that I want to ask, why is there a lobby that begins to think the minute Twitter is questioned or Facebook is questioned, it becomes the death of free speech? Do you think all other countries like Japan or Russia are not making Twitter follow their local laws? Do you think this problem is only in India? Why does a certain ecosystem in India want these companies just because they think they provide a platform for an anti-government or an anti-right-wing propaganda, and therefore they should have a free run? Ratan Sharda ji, if you can hear me.
Actually, there is a parallel person sitting there. There's noise on the Zoom. I got your question. See, I have said earlier that once Twitter decides that it will arbitrate the judge and the jury on deciding what will be published and what not be published, what can be flagged, what cannot be flagged, then it is no more an open platform. It has become a publishing house. That is very clear. Secondly, my only objection is that a law minister should not come on press to equate himself to a person who owns a small, social media platform. He has made his point. That it is up to bureaucracy to tackle it and handle it, and he should not come down to the level of these insolent, arrogant people who try to think that they can bend the laws for them. They talk about negotiating with government. Not only that, they go to the extent of not listening to any note, not responding to any notice, nor giving any proper answer. And an MNC not getting 3 officers in a vast country like India with such a huge IT population and such a huge infrastructure, definitely they're out to just show their finger. If that is the case, then government has a right to take action because law is not made for Twitter. It is made for every publishing house. And the people are crying hoarse about independence. Remember, the same people are questioning Op India time and again for reporting incidents. And they said, we have a right to it. First, they said it is fake news. Then they said our news is genuine. Then they said, do you mean that we will get all the news passed by government before we publish? So this double, triple tongues will not work. You have to accept there is hypocrisy first on part of Twitter to control others' independence, blue ticks, and what they want to write. Is it not? It's not strange that a respectable editor like Jagannathan could be stopped from Twitter although he posted a genuine data. Is it not true that True Indology, without being offensive at all, was banned at least 4 times? I know of a Kashmir youth whose news portal, whose Twitter account has been banned not once, twice, thrice, because he takes anti-Pakistan stand. There is no other reason. He doesn't make any abusive tweet. He doesn't make any abusive news. But his effort is pro-India, anti-Pakistan, and for that reason, and for criticizing separatist leaders in Delhi, he has been banned time and again. If this is the scenario, then they have no right to claim any protection. Let them behave like any Times Now, Republic, or any India Today, and not seek protection while they themselves try to persecute and remove people whom they don't like.
Absolutely, well said. When you are a participant, when you're taking editorial positions, then Twitter cannot just be a platform. Twitter is taking positions, and these are called editorial positions. They decide what is manipulative and what is not manipulative. They decide, what is going public, what is not going public, what is going viral, what is not going viral, what should be banned, who should be banned, and there is no transparency. Nobody is told why have they been bumped off Twitter, why have they been banned, why somebody else doing the same thing is not being banned, and that is the problem. Different attitudes towards different kind of people, and that, Sumansi Raman, is a problem. Then be like us, be subject to certain amount of regulation, have a regulator like the News Broadcaster Standards Authority, which looks into some of these questions and gives its adjudication. Why should Twitter also not be subject to the same laws?
Okay, Navika, first of all, I agree entirely. Twitter should be subject to the law of the land. I don't think that there is any controversy over that. And I think they're being stupid and not in dragging out the appointment of these grievance officer and compliance officer and so on. Having said that, the question of whether they have lost their intermediary status is to be adjudicated by the courts, because it is not like a license which is granted by the government. The new IT laws have already been challenged in the courts, and it is for the courts to decide what is going to be the outcome on that. But on the topic that you started about the others facing FIR, I think that is simply something which would not hold. Now, first of all, the job of a journalist or an activist or anybody else is to present both sides of the story. So by presenting the victim's side, if that is deemed to be a violation of the law, then I think the government will have to amend the law and say that journalists can only report government statements. That's the only way that
Sanju Verma, is this a very simplistic interpretation? Is this only presenting the victim side? Because the victim's version has undergone changes, which is why the complaints have been filed. Because the victim's version has changed.
Can I please? Okay.
There are 2 versions.
So if the court has to decide why, if the court has to decide, then why is the tweet, or why are the tweets that were put out which went viral, which could have created communal tensions, why were they not dubbed or marked as manipulated tweets? Sanju Verma, isn't that the question?
Yes, I'll now take just a few seconds to answer that. I think, Navika, the point is that, Sumansi Raman, with no offense to him, is trying to confuse issues. Let's be very clear, Twitter is not a kingdom unto itself, point number 1. Point number 2, Twitter has no business questioning the territorial integrity or digital sovereignty of the country. I still remember that a couple of months back, Twitter showcased a truncated map of India without Jammu and Kashmir and had to be given n number of reminders to take that down. Twitter a couple of months back showed in its geolocation parts of Ladakh which are India's as belonging to China, had to be again given umpteen reminders to take them down. Twitter promoted 3 years back casteism by saying smash Brahminical patriarchy. But forget all this. Let's talk about legalities here, technicalities, because that is what reigns supreme. Twitter, Navika, has been till date using safe harbor protection under Section 79 of the IT Act of 2000. And look at the audacity. Today they quote the same Section 79 to say that we want to continue to enjoy intermediary status and we do not want to be held accountable for spurious and incendiary content. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. The fact remains you were given umpteen reminders, 3 notices, but you deliberately chose the path of insubordination and you deliberately
Absolutely, and that is where the problem is, Sanjay Jha, because when the Delhi police writes to Twitter, the managing director of the company says, I don't deal with this, approach United States Twittering. When he's asked who does he report to, he reports to somebody in Singapore. When they ask, what is the Indian entity called? Well, I am only looking after sales. Do you want Indians who have problems, who have complaints, even law enforcement agencies who want to question where these decisions have been taken? We should all be rushing to Singapore or to the United States. Is this a complete bizarre logic, Sanjay Jha?
No, Navika, just one quick point. Navika, if I am a company or an individual who wants...
I'm running out of time. I will come back to you if I have time, but allow Sanjay Jha to make his intervention. I will come back to you. Sanjay Jha.
And Navika, my short point is that if Twitter is operating in India, no matter how unpalatable and insufferable the laws are or the political system is, it has to comply with it and it can contest the issues in the court. So I think that's the first point that we need to make. Number 2,
Absolutely.
very critical, that I do believe, Navika, that the government of the day reacted when this whole episode of, this manipulated media against my friend, Mr. Patra, became a national issue. I think the reaction of this government, the Delhi police lands up there, the entire camera crew is there. There's a messaging going on. There's a serious political messaging going on by the government to Twitter. Somebody on your program said it's a small company. I would request the gentleman to kindly go and Google what is the market capitalization of Twitter. Sir, it runs into billions of dollars in double digits. Now, let me answer this question. We are calling ourselves a democracy. Should we be so, shall we say, paranoid about the fact that if Twitter has been able to believe a fact-busting site that checks fake facts and says that the BJP's toolkit was indeed manipulated or fictitious or fabricated, which I can tell you it was, then the fact remains it hasn't done anything wrong. But you follow the history. The Twitter people have been repeatedly...
Well, then who has to be the arbiter of that? Who has to be the arbiter of that? The arbiter of that will have to be the courts of India. And this matter is being interpreted and looked at either by the government or Twitter, which is not even responding to law enforcement agencies. And that is not the way things work in India. There has to be a proper law enforcement system in India, and everybody has to abide by it. Otherwise, law will go for a toss.